Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a screenwriter's rant on Summer Days, Summer Nights. And movie that takes place in the 80s, Long Island, 1982. It's all about summer and hot chicks and coming of age. So smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Please check out my books. Links in the description. Woke a novel, Hollywoke, another novel, political satire, and of course the Pineys, books 1 through 6, comedy horror in South Jersey. Book 7 dropping soon, I swear. And of course, you can find them all at Amazon.com. Kindle Unlimited is free, and we still get paid, so I can buy Little Joan some treats. Now, 1982. That's a year I remember. I was 16, and this is the kind of stuff that would happen. People would go to the beach. Not me. People would go to the beach and hook up, and it was a great time. Lots of hot girls, and this is Long Island, so it was a different time. I think that's Ed Burns, right? I know he directed this movie. So it's all about the summer. It's a coming of age movie about the summer. It doesn't look that funny, but it's more like relationship driven. I would think this would be more appealing to a female audience than a male audience, although there is some jokes in it. You know, here's the wacky comedic character and his girlfriend trying to say, hey, I want to have sex, and he's not getting the messages. But you know, it was a time that I guess is now being nostalgicized, I guess. So 40 years later, so people who would have been this age in 82 would be about my age, right? Maybe a little older. So it's an interesting movie to aim at at a group like me. Would I see this movie? There's lots of hot chicks in it. I mean, this is the kind of movie they used to crank out in the 80s, like every summer. They would crank out like 10 of these movies, and it would all be the same movie. Oh man, it's summertime. Yeah, this is the last year before we graduate and go to college. Oh, I bet I better ask that girl out. Oh, I better do all the things I wanted to do. This is our last chance together. And it was the same movie every time. So I've seen this movie like a million times. Is it bad? Nah, it looks okay. It looks watchable. You know, if I want to hear old music and see a bunch of beautiful people hook up, sure, I'd go to see it. I'm sure there's some, there's Edward Burns, written and directed by Edward Burns. I'm sure there's some drama in it. You know, who hooks up with who. A lot of hot girls in this. Who hooks up with who, you get to do all the things, you know, you got to do all the things, you got to enjoy life kind of thing. It's positive. It's a positive view. These are all the actors and actresses. I recognize none of them except Ed Burns. Yeah, I don't recognize any of these guys. They're all younger. But good for Ed Burns, giving them exposure. Summer Days, Summer Nights. Yeah, you can see how 80s it is. So, you know, it's a harmless movie. In this realm that we're in now, it is a different movie. It wasn't different. In 1982, if they had released this movie in 1982, it would come and go and nobody would, you know. Some people would see it, but it wouldn't be like any great shakes. Now? Oh, yeah. Now it's completely different. Now it's like a window into another time, into another universe that we've lost. So for those of us who maybe are, you know, nostalgic, sure, yeah, I'd go see this maybe with someone my age who could understand the music and the various references. But, you know, the kids who are starring in this movie don't even understand probably the references they make. And it probably cost a bit of money to do all this, you know, to get the 80s beers and clothes and to make sure the 80s stuff is only in the shot. You know, first act, here's the first act. So the first act is a guy breaks up with his girlfriend, and it's summer, and it's his last summer, and he's bummed out about it. But then there's these other stories with other guys, and they're all in various stages of a relationship. This guy on the right there is single too. He's trying to get a girl. The guy on the left has had a girl for a long time. Or maybe he's the hookup artist, I don't know. and they're all going through various things with their relationships. And then the second act is where all the drama hits. The guy who just broke up gets a new girl, and he's considering many things in terms of going away to college and whatnot. And this guy meets a new girl, and the other guy maybe breaks up with his girlfriend, or it looks like it could break up, and they were planning their lives together, and now it's all falling apart. And then the third act is the big confrontation where like they got to make the big decisions. What am I going to do with my life? Where am I going to go? Where am I going to be 20 years from now? Who am I going to marry? Kind of thing. These used to be decisions in a movie that made sense because it was all about my life. How am I going to do things and see things, and where am I going to be 20 years from now? People thought about the future. A lot of the a lot of movies now don't have that kind of like long view of things. They're just thinking in the now. They're thinking me, 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 me. This is a little more open. So this is why I say it's different now. So it's a little window into 80s movies. If you love the 80s, I'm sure you'll love this movie. I lived through the 80s, so it's not that I love or hate it, although I did kind of hate the 80s. You have to live there to know. You would have had to live through it to understand how I feel about the 80s. If you didn't live there and you romanticize the 80s, yeah, it sounds great to you, but it was a time I grew up in, and it wasn't the 80s to me. It was just when I grew up and when things were happening. So would I see it? Probably not. It comes out August 24th. Not yet rated. Probably R, I would guess. Probably some boobies in this. If it's an 80s movie, it'll have boobies. If it's a true 80s movie, we'll have boobies. So maybe I might see it, for nostalgia purposes and to review it. From just a purely like standpoint, there's no zombies. It's just about relationships. I get bored with this stuff really easy. So I don't think it'll be bad. I think it'll be solid. Burns is okay. He can craft a story. I certainly would recommend this over most of the new stuff that comes out. Most of the woke BS. There's a trailer I saw for some woke movie on Prime, and I clicked on it and said, "Oh, let me trash this," and then 30 seconds into it, it's like I can't even watch this. Would I see this over CIA? I reviewed the greatest movie in the world, C.I. Ape, yesterday. The trailer for C.I. Ape, which you have to go back and see. They actually made C.I. Ape. That I think I'd see this over C.I. Ape, if I'm being honest. And that's it for me and little Joan. We're gonna probably get some dinner. Check us out on Bitchute and Rumble. I have a news blast and a rant on Robin of Batman and Robin. Everybody's talking about him today. And we'll see you tomorrow.